You're watching Way 31 News, Coronavirus in Alabama. Take 5 to give 5.
Thank you for joining us on this Giving Tuesday, and welcome to our Take 5 to Give 5 celebration show. I'm Naja Sherman.
And I'm Dan Schaefer. For the past week and a half, we have been highlighting some of the dozens of organizations receiving support through the Take 5 to Give 5 partnership between the Huntsville-Madison County Chamber of Commerce, Toyota Manufacturing, and those of us here at Way 31. All the money donated stays right here in North Alabama.
Hundreds of you at home and several corporate donors have made a big difference. Your support to those hit hardest by the coronavirus pandemic is having a big impact on our communities. We all went into this campaign with a lofty goal of $500,000, and we are happy to say that we have reached it with your help. Right now, we have raised more than $565,000 for the Take 5 to Give 5 campaign, and there is still time to take part. There's a link to donate online at waytv.com. Just find the story with the Take 5 to Give 5 logo.
Now we want to turn our attention to the woman behind the boots on the ground of this whole operation. We're joined now by Melissa Thompson. She's the president and CEO of the Community Foundation of Greater Huntsville. Melissa, thanks for being with us tonight. You're doing fantastic work.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for having me.
So walk us through how the Take 5 to Give 5 campaign came to be.
So back in mid-March, our community foundation recognized that there were going to be many nonprofits who were serving on the front lines of this current COVID crisis. So we activated our emergency relief fund on March 16th. Our donors came in and began supporting the effort in a big way. And then we were so happy whenever Toyota Motor Manufacturing came in and said, we want to be part of it and we want to be part of the Take 5 to Give 5 campaign. And so that's really how it was launched. Just 2 weeks ago, the Take 5 campaign was launched.
It's just incredible how fast this came together. Now, why is it so important, especially now?
Our community is hurting. We have many nonprofits who are out on the front lines serving meals, helping the homeless, providing protective equipment to those medical workers who are on the front lines, and they need our help. And so our community is so incredibly generous, and so they have come together in remarkable ways to really benefit those on the front lines.
It really has. What's the overall goal of this fundraiser?
The goal was $500,000. We kind of looked at that and just kind of held our breath, wondering whether we might be able to hit it, but as in every situation, our community always overachieves, and in this case, they have done that as well, and the money is going to go straight to those who are on the front lines.
Melissa, congratulations. Thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Now we want to show you how some of the organizations receiving grants from this program plan to use that money. We start with New Futures. It's a homeless shelter in Huntsville that keeps families together as they work to find jobs or homes of their own. Way 31's Pat Simon shows us how the money from the Take 5 to Give 5 campaign will help the organization support its mission.
My life before New Futures was absolutely chaotic.
For the past 6 months, Andrew Carroll, his fiancée and stepson, have called the New Futures shelter home. They moved from North Carolina in search of a fresh start.
You know, I left Huntsville originally to get clean, and we came back.
After years of battling a drug addiction, Carroll is now celebrating 2 years of sobriety. He said the recovery process hasn't been easy, but for the first time, he has the support that he needs to move forward.
It definitely became easier knowing that I had New Futures as a security blanket, something that could make me comfortable enough to, learn and get back out there into the world.
New Futures is the only shelter in Huntsville that allows families to live together as they work to find jobs and a home of their own. Since the coronavirus pandemic hit, there's been a growing number of families on their waiting list.
I had 11 calls looking for placement.
Since donations are down and their cleaning budget is increasing, Executive Director Tanya Raines applied for the Community Foundation of Greater Huntsville's Emergency Relief Fund. That grant will help pay their utility bills and purchase cleaning supplies and food.
And we haven't been able to procure meat since this happened.
Carol is grateful that the staff is doing everything they can to keep the shelter clean and well stocked during the pandemic so his family can stay together.
It's euphoric because I would be definitely so uncomfortable being apart from them. And for us to be together, you know, it's a great feeling.
Pat Simon, Way 31 News.
New Futures plans to use the money to purchase more food and cleaning supplies.
We want to highlight another organization that's been getting creative during the pandemic so that they can still support kids and families. Here's a look at how the Boys and Girls Club of North Alabama is taking care of people during these times.
Here you go.
No, it's not the ice cream truck. But when the Boys and Girls Club bus drives into neighborhoods, that means it's lunchtime.
They see in that bus and can run out there and get them something, that's a blessing.
Louise Carter normally watches around a dozen of her grand and great-grandchildren every day. She says the free meals help because it's a financial burden purchasing groceries and cooking for each child.
When I cook a lot.
After schools closed because of the coronavirus pandemic, the Boys and Girls Club of North Alabama created the Grab and Go food program to pass out free, nutritious lunches. Right now, they're serving 325 kids a day, compared to the 95 kids they were feeding during their after-school program. Tween and Prevention Director Brian Cordell helps pass out meals in the Butler Terrace and L.R. Patton communities.
If I go to a parking lot of one of the apartments where our kids live, and we only have 2 kids in that, but there are 30 in the parking lot, and this happens every day, every one of those kids will get a meal.
The Boys and Girls Club of North Alabama will receive a grant from the Community Foundation of Greater Huntsville's Emergency Relief Fund to help them continue to provide lunches to children in underprivileged communities.
See y'all tomorrow. All right, thank you.
And Carter is doing her part to make sure those meals go to children who need them.
Even if my grandkids isn't here, and if I see some children coming through, if they're not here to eat it, it still goes to good use because I will give it to a child if I see them coming through.
The Boys and Girls Club of North Alabama will receive a grant from the Community Foundation. They plan to use that money to continue providing lunches to underprivileged children. Before we take a break, we want to show you how one more organization is making a difference in our community.
The Manna House is another one of the dozens of organizations that will receive funding. It is a food distribution program that helps those in need.
They've seen a lot more people over the past month and a half. Way 31's Marie Waxel explains how Manna House plans to use the money it receives.
I'm a country person and I love my vegetables.
Almost a decade ago, Irene Oglesby started volunteering at Manna House, bringing fresh vegetables from her garden for the hundreds of families in line needing food. Now, after suffering a back injury, the 98-year-old is in line picking up groceries for herself.
And that means a whole lot for me because I'm old now and not working.
Even during the coronavirus pandemic, the Manna House is keeping its doors open to those in need, providing free food boxes full of fresh fruits and vegetables.
To help us go forward.
Director Fran Fluhler is noticing more people are needing help after being laid off during the coronavirus pandemic.
A lot of people in the hospitality industry, some people that worked for offices like dentist offices that were closed. Other people are in other locations that the factory closed because somebody tested positive, and they're just not making it.
Fluhler applied for the Community Foundation of Greater Huntsville's Emergency Relief Fund to continue providing food to new clients and those like John Anderson who need the help on a regular basis.
Manna is a blessing for a lot of people in the neighborhood and everywhere.
Clients like Anderson and Oglesby are relying on those blessings to continue so they don't have to worry about where their next meal will come from.
I'm very grateful for them. I say a prayer for it every night.
Marie Waxel, Way 31 News.
We all know that healthcare workers are in need of personal protective equipment during this time. We talked with the Huntsville Hospital Foundation. It is ensuring that frontline caregivers are safe while working around people who are exposed to the coronavirus.
After being a nurse at Huntsville Hospital for 32 years, Joyce Thomas realizes that working conditions during the coronavirus pandemic are now a part of her new normal.
You just get into that cycle and that work mode of this is the job, it has to be done, and this is just kind of what we do.
Each day she's at a different location, testing those who think they might have been exposed to the coronavirus.
That's the actual test kit.
But as an emergency preparedness manager, she's been training for this moment.
We had just had a highly infectious disease exercise just prior to this breaking out, probably last summer we did that. So we practiced our negative pressure equipment room in the ED and the workflow and the transition of the EMS patient into the highly infectious disease units.
The Huntsville Hospital Foundation realized frontline workers needed additional personal protective equipment while working during the pandemic. They applied for the Community Foundation of Greater Huntsville's Emergency Relief Fund to help pay for the equipment.
And that's a comforting feeling, is to know you've got the adequate equipment to do your job. So you don't have to worry about that, you just do your job.
Huntsville Hospital Foundation President Sarah Savage Jones says the grant will also help pay for fever and flu clinics in different communities so people can get tested. Plus, they're supporting quarantined employees.
If someone is exposed to COVID on the job and they have to be quarantined or stay home, we help to make sure that they are provided for financially.
This is a job Thomas still loves, and despite the stressful moments, she remembers one thing.
You know, this is a very difficult time for everybody, and you feel like I did my part. You know, I was able to put in that little piece that keeps the wheel to turning and that we care for the patients.
We want to take a minute to thank our corporate sponsors who have taken part in this campaign. Nearly a dozen companies donated to the cause, including Toyota, Aerojet Rocketdyne Foundation, and Iron Mountain Solutions. Raytheon, ERC, and Cadence Bank Community Reinvestment Fund also contributed, as well as MTSI, Redstone Federal Credit Union, and Vector Wealth Strategies. And finally, Torch Technologies and the Caring Foundation of BCBS Alabama. Again, thank you so very much for your generosity.
Stay with us. In just a few minutes, we'll be joined by representatives from Toyota who will share the final fundraising numbers with us.
Plus, hear from the Huntsville-Madison County Chamber of Commerce about how they got involved in this initiative.